What is up, guys? Welcome to another video here. We're going to do deck an explanation, the 5 best decks to play on the ladder for June. I know we haven't had a lot of Hearthstone content. I know. But you know, YouTube, they're just messing my life up, changing all this stuff. But I'm back, guys. So I'm going to talk about 5 decks that I think you can climb on the ladder with and do relatively well with. Talk a little bit about them. Let me see if I can open up my thing real quick. But these decks will be different. These are not the typical archetypes we have seen lately. These are a little different. The gameplay is a little different, and that's why I think they're cool. If you're just looking to rush to Legend quickly, go play Odd Paladin. Don't waste your time. Go on to HS Replays. Look for the highest win rate Odd Paladin deck and play Odd Paladin. Number 1, the games are quick. Number 2, it has a high win rate. Those are both a good strategy for ranking up quickly. If your goal is just to get to Legend quickly, like you never hit it before and you want a deck to pilot Odd Paladin. But now, if your goal is something a little different, if you're looking to have fun, challenge yourself, try a new archetype, step outside your comfort zone, I have 5 decks for you that I think are very, very cool. The first one we're going to talk about is an archetype that already has existed for quite a bit, that I've played a bunch, and it is Taunt Druid. Taunt Druid, if you don't know, revolves around playing big taunts, then dropping Hadronox and killing the Hadronox with either a naturalize or a carnivorous cube, so that you get a big board of more taunts, right? Now, that's pretty cool, but that's not that great when you think about it. Like, because what if someone just wipes the board? That's why you have a card like Witching Hour to bring back the one beast in your deck. And of course, what is the one beast? Hadronox. Okay, so the objective of this is to just stabilize early. Use Wild Growth to ramp up your mana. Use Tar Creeper to block stuff. Use Oaken Summons to gain armor and to summon out an Ironwood Golem. Then use Nourish to either ramp or draw cards. Then play big boys. Hadronox, Master Oakheart. Master Oakheart is great because it pulls you a 1 attack minion, Tar Creeper, pulls you a 2 attack, or it pulls you a 3 attack minion, which is either Ironwood Golem or Hadronox. And it also pulls you a 2 attack minion. And the 2 attack minion we have is this Lone Dragon Hatcher. At the end of your turn, recruit a dragon. And of course, we're running 2 dragons, Primordial Drakes. So if you play an Oakheart, there's a good chance that you can get a Tar Creeper. So for 9 mana, you could get a 3 mana Tar Creeper, a 9 mana Dragon Hatcher, so that's 11 mana, right? That's 12 mana. You could get a Hadronox, that's 21 mana. And then when the Dragon Hatcher effect goes off, you get an 8-drop. 29 mana. For 9 mana, you can make a 29 mana turn. Incredible. Now, it doesn't always work out that way, but this is a strong deck. It's very good against everything. It's decent against aggro. Very good against control decks. Doesn't do well against combo decks, but it can't win everything. But it's a strong deck. You always have a chance to win every game. Great deck to play. So that's the first deck. The second deck is SHUDDERWOCK Shaman. Now, if you've played Witchwood when the expansion first came out, you know that SHUDDERWOCK was the card that everybody hated. It does so much ridiculous stuff, It bounces back all these battle cries, and, you have to sit there for 3 or 4 minutes to watch all the turns. Well, they've nerfed that effect. They've changed the way the effect works. And now I think it has a cap of like 30 effects, I think. So you don't have to get stuck in those long, monotonous turns. But it turns out that before, when SHUDDERWOCK first came out, the deck kind of sucked. It had a below 50% win rate across the board. So while the deck versus Priest or versus very slow decks was very, what's the right word here? Very boring to watch. It's kind of very degenerate. It actually didn't do well against a lot of the decks in the field. Fast forward to now, where the deck is actually really, really good. What you see here is a control SHUDDERWOCK list. This list in particular was made by, what is his name? Cream Puff HS. So, and this is what I consider like probably one of the best SHUDDERWOCK lists right now. Although if you face a lot of weapons, like a lot of Q block, I would suggest maybe cutting out one card here. Maybe a Farsight and putting in a Gluttonous Ooze. But this deck is strong. Basically, against aggro, you have all the tools to survive. You have healing, you have AoE, you have Keleseth, you have early game creatures, and then you have the late game like bombs. Hagatha, the Witch, Primordial Drake, SHUDDERWOCK to recur all that value. It's a very good deck against aggro. Aggro's going to suffer. One deck that might be tough to beat is like Even Lock because of Mountain Giants, early Mountain Giants. That's kind of hard for this deck to deal with. And versus Control, what you want to do is combo your SHUDDERWOCK so you get like an unbelievable amount of value. And I'll make another video later going over SHUDDERWOCK and the other decks more in depth. So stay tuned for those and watch those. But basically what you want to do is, if you don't know the combo, you want to play a Saronite Chain Gang, you want to play Grumble, and then after those are played out, you want to play a SHUDDERWOCK. Because SHUDDERWOCK copies of Battle Cries randomly. So ideally, you want it to copy Saronite Chain Gang's Battle Cry, make a copy of SHUDDERWOCK, then you want it to play the Grumble Battle Cry, which will return all the copies back to your hand. So if it makes a copy of SHUDDERWOCK, it returns the copy of SHUDDERWOCK. Original SHUDDERWOCK stays in play, and you have a 1-mana SHUDDERWOCK in hand. You can play it again, and boom, more value. Now, remember, the effect is random. So if you play one Chain Gang and one Grumble, you have a 50% chance of the Chain Gang happening before the Grumble, right? If you play 2 Chain Gangs, you have a 66% chance. Now, you can up this by returning multiple Chain Gangs to the hand with Grumble, by playing Zola onto an empty board and then copying and then bouncing Zola back to the hand with Grumble on turn 10 or turn 9. And if you do this, this kind of gives you an incentive and insurance, because now you have a free Zola or a 1-mana Zola in hand, and then you can play SHUDDERWOCK and then copy the SHUDDERWOCK, right? So there are different ways, different lines of play. You don't always need to go infinite, but it obviously helps a lot more if you're getting multiple SHUDDERWOCK turns, right? And it just gets so degenerative at the end of the game, you know, because imagine you've played Hagatha, you've played Primordial Drake. That means anytime you play SHUDDERWOCK, you're doing 5 damage on a board. So that's a lot to deal with. Good deck, fun. It's very difficult to play, very challenging, and the games can be long. So I would suggest this for when you hit rank 5. And if you're looking for a game to challenge you, like the game's about fun, you know, and this deck is super fun, super challenging, but very rewarding because there's so many lines to victory. Very fun. The next deck we'll talk about is Spell Hunter. It's good to see Hunter back in the meta, and believe me, it's back in the meta, and this is the deck right here. All spells and 2 weapons. Okay, so basically, this deck just has incredible tempo. This deck wins by actually just, you know, using a bunch of traps and then boosting up your Lesser Emerald Spellstone so that you can get it up to giving you 4 wolves. And then on a good turn, you play out the wolves, and then the opponent just can't deal with it. In other matchups, like control matchups, maybe against Mage and stuff, you want Deathstalker Rexar to give you infinite value, always creating beasts. And then you always have good cards like Rock Delar. You know, like this deck is just really, really good. I think it's actually better than the other Hunter deck that we're going to talk about. And if you're looking for a quick deck that's relatively strong and it's got interesting lines of play, spells are always kind of cooler than creatures to me. Like this, obviously this deck has its weakness because it doesn't have the creatures, but it has ways to build that board. So you just got to get used to kind of playing it. We might mess with this one a little more. I might make a guide for this one. I don't know. But it's definitely a fun deck, definitely a bunch of fun cards, and relatively cheap to build. So take a look at Spell Hunter. The other Hunter we're gonna take a look at is Recruit Hunter. This is my list here. I'm actually going to change one card for you right now. Gosh, I don't even know what the card is going to be, but I do want to change one card. Anyway, this is Recruit Hunter, and it's really cool. Basically, what you want to do is you want Silver Vanguard or Katharina Winter-Wisp, they have really good death rattles. You want to use Play Dead on those so that you can get out Lich King or Charge Devil Stars. And since these guys are coming into play from summons, from Recruit, the battle cry doesn't have effect, so they effectively have charge, right? Like they can charge and hit the face. This is pretty awesome. And you can also grab Lich King or King Crush from these, right? From Katharina, making that pretty good. Then you have Sleeping Oozling, which copies either Silver Vanguard or Katharina Winter-Wisp death rattles, making a pretty good option. And you have a good deck here for Houndmaster Shaw. And this is just a nice deck, to be honest. But like I said, I do want to add one card. And the one card that I want to add, and really that's just dependent on how many Cube Locks and Taunt Druids are out there. That one card is Tinkmaster Overspark. I think it's time for Tinkmaster to make a return into the meta. What one card am I going to take out? Because, you know, this deck is really tight. I actually like a lot of the deck. It's tough. It's tough, boys, man. Like, everything in here just... Jeez, man, this list is just so tight. Really difficult to move a minion out here. We'll keep it as is. But anyway, this is a fun deck. Give that a try. Remember, you can get all the deck codes in the description below. And lastly, but not least, we'll talk about Even Warlock. Now, let me preface this by saying first that Even Warlock is not the best Warlock deck in my opinion. Okay, even though HS Replay says it is, I believe the best Warlock deck right now is Cube Lock. It is still the best deck. Doom Guards are still strong. Void Lords are still strong. Okay, this deck doesn't have that. It doesn't even have Void Lords. Okay, but the fun thing about Even Warlock is that when you are on the coin, you can play Mountain Giant on turn 3. And a Mountain Giant on turn 3 is pretty strong. Strong enough that if you have the dust or the cards to make the deck, it's worth trying out. So what I have here is a pretty interesting style of Even Warlock. It has one weapon removal. It's got Defile, Plated Beetles, Vulgar Homunculus to activate Lesser Amethyst Spellstones, Hellfires to activate the Spellstone, Hooked Reaver, which against aggro actually effectively becomes a 7/7 taunt for 4. Amethyst Spellstones, Double Shroom Brewer to give you life, kind of make up for the missing Dark Packs, Double Spellbreaker, Double Drake, Double Inferno, Gray, Nerubian Unraveler, which, you know, I think is a pretty good card. Helps against Druid, helps against Mage. It's pretty interesting. Lich King, Blood Reaver, Gul'dan, and Mountain Giant. Deck is fun. It's interesting. Like I said, if you're just looking for wins, don't play this one. But if you're looking for something new, an archetype that's new and different, I think it doesn't hurt to give this deck a try. Yep, that is it, guys. Those are the 5 decks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decks that I suggest you play this season, June. Give them a try. And let me know in the comments, guys, what decks you're playing. What decks are working for you, what decks are not working, or if you have any questions or comments about how to play these decks, or suggestions to make the builds better. As always, thank you for being a long-time subscriber to my channel. I will continue to make more Hearthstone content more often, and I think the meta is in a really good place right now. It's really diverse, so there's a lot of things that can work. So let's try it out. You guys have fun, and I'll see you guys next time.